Hello friends and welcome back. It's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and today I'm presenting for the Funky Junkie Boutique. We have a current challenge which is called Stencil Mania. So the idea is to use a bunch of your stencils, and so I've used a lot on this particular etc. tag. If you follow me, you may know that I'm into etc. tags, and I've made many, and I've got a whole series of etc. tags. So here I'll kind of show some of the stencils that I'm going to be using on this particular project. So I'll be using the two that I showed earlier for background, and then the flowers for the main part. And then I'm going to use this brushed butterfly die. This is one of Sizzix's new releases. So the first thing I did was I trimmed a piece of white heavyweight cardstock from Tim Holtz into a tag shape, and then I'm going to use antique linen, old paper, speckled egg, and bundled sage together to ink smoosh the background. So these are kind of some of my favorite colors. It's a very muted, just really a nice color palette. So we'll put the water on there, and then I'm gonna run my fingers through there. No wonder we all have inky fingers, huh? And then I'm going to do my favorite ink smooshing technique. So here I've got one layer on here, and then I'll go ahead and heat dry it. And I do go back a few times so to get enough layers that I'm happy with the final product. And so here I've grabbed that stencil. This is number 19. And I'm just kind of adding the bundled sage in the lower right and upper left-hand corner. And you can see I'm not totally covering the stencil, just kind of doing areas. And so then I grabbed the Arches stencil, that's number 147, and we'll go ahead and use the speckled egg to add the blue down in the lower left and the upper right-hand section of this etc. tag. And by the way, there should be a red arrow at the lower right-hand part of your screen. I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot with Tim Holtz and floral type of things, are kind of my two favorite products. So again, here's the butterflies, and again I cut them out of vellum with a black cardstock body, and then I use the metallic confections. This is a metallic cardstock with craft on the backside for kind of the accents on the butterflies. So here I pulled out the number 143 stencil, and this is the floral stencil, and you can see there I kind of have a torn mask on the right hand side because I wanted the paste to end organically, and so I just went ahead and put that on there, and now I'm just putting on a layer of crackle paste. This stuff's really fun when you add the embossing glazes. So again, I'm going to go ahead and pull off the mask, and then we'll remove the stencil, and then I'm taking it. You need to get these things rinsed pretty quick, otherwise that crackle paste will dry on there. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm adding the embossing glaze. So again, I'm using this little tiny spoon, which, in hindsight, I probably ended up wasting a lot of the glaze. I probably should have just, put it on with my fingers, because that way I could use a smaller amount. So again, I've used wilted violet, wild honey, kitsch flamingo, and picked raspberry for my flowers. And this really, in the end, brightened them up. And on that crackle paste, it really kind of gave them a great antique look. So again, I'm just adding the embossing glaze. So we'll go ahead and just make sure I've got everything covered, and then we'll go ahead and knock it off. You can see how much glaze I've got on my glass mat. So like I say, I probably should have just used my fingers and not my spoon. But anyway, hindsight's always 20/20. And then, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my heat gun, and we'll go ahead and dry it off. And I need to make sure it is completely dry before I move on and start touching the front of the tag. So again, we'll go ahead and just get that all dry. And I'm loving the colors with that muted background and those bright florals up front. I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. So the next thing I did was I grabbed a quote chip, collect beautiful moments, and I went ahead and used an embossing dauber on there, and then I'm adding the picked raspberry. So I'm going to have kind of a bright pink color tag down there at the bottom, or saying at the bottom. So I really like the way that turned out. So that'll be attached down there at the bottom. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add that tag to the front. So I pulled out my collage medium and my collage brush, and we'll go ahead and add a layer of collage medium on here. So I like to make sure I get the edges really, really well, because that's kind of where they start to pull up. So again, just kind of adding that collage medium. And then we'll go ahead and put that tag on there, and I'll kind of smooth it down and then flip it over and let it dry for a little while. And here I am just kind of pressing around the edges again to make sure that I've got good contact. So I'll go ahead and use my finger to pull off the extra collage medium there. And after drying, this is what I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my bottle of collage medium and apply a line to the bottom of that chip quote. And we'll go ahead and put that on there. And then I went ahead, I did add extra collage medium here on the top, and I'm using my glitter duster with rock candy glitter, and going ahead and putting it on there. It just kind of gives it a sparkle. I like the extra sparkle. You can't really see it in the photos or here on the video, but in real life it really is kind of sparkly. So again, I'm going to grab my collage medium bottle, and I folded the wings up a little bit on the butterflies for dimension, and so we'll go ahead and add the collage medium just to the bodies and attach them. I like working in threes. It's kind of a nice number, and it kind of rotates your eye around the entire tag. And so the next thing I'm going to do, well, there's my tag, but I'm going to go ahead and color some seam binding. So here I've got picked raspberry, wilted violet, and salvage patina. And so I'm kind of going for, a ribbon that has multiple colors in it. So again, you're kind of mopping up your craft sheet and adding more colors. So I wanted more blue in it, so that's kind of why I went back with the salvage patina again. So again, I'm just kind of drying it to make sure it's dry, and then I tied it into a bow, and I've kind of tied it there on the top, kind of fluffing it up here, make it look pretty. And so there is my tag. I'm happy with the way this one turned out. So see the dimension there? I've got the thread hanging off. I always leave threads hanging off. I like to sew my tags. I just think it just adds an extra little oomph to it. So again, sometimes I use black thread, sometimes I use white thread. But again, this is Terry with Terry's Mailbox, presenting for the Funky Junkie Boutique. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Blogger, and YouTube, and I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel or my other social media.